I'm 26. I spent my teenage years babysitting for my younger brother. I dropped out of college to care for my mother while she was physically disabled, and though some many really bad bipolar moments, I currently care full-time for my other brother who has severe autism but is trying to learn independent skills to move on to independent living. My moments of on-off care from the ages of 15 to now have prevented me from developing friendships and relationships because I find myself very housebound, only able to go out for a few hours in between meals and not allowed anyone around as he doesn't like visitors. I have always said that my brother will be the last person that I care for. I don't even want my own kids because I am fed up with having to devote myself to someone else's needs. After my brother in what I can only imagine is still 10 years away, I want my life to finally be mine. Then my mother, at 48, tells me she's pregnant. She's admitted she's planning on keeping the baby and expects emotional support and for me to be a big part of the kid's life. I told her no, I probably wouldn't be, and that I didn't really care to play a neutering or caring role in anyone's life again. I don't want to do the big sister thing again, I want out. I have been called ungrateful, selfish, racist because the kid would be mixed, heartless and abusive. I get that having a baby is hard, so maybe I should have been nicer, but it's not my choice. Am I the idiot for not caring for my new sibling like I do my others? Not the idiot. Your mom keeps having kids she can't support and she's guilting you into being a second parent to make her life easier. Where is the actual father of this baby? He should be in this role, not you. She needs to stop having kids with absent men and expecting her older children to fill the role of daddy. You are a young adult. You deserve to be free to live your own life and focus on your own growth instead of being tied down to your mother's bad choices. It's not your job to raise your sibling. The fact that you've taken on the task to raise and care for your brother is massive enough. Your mother is not only being selfish by expecting you to help with this new baby, but the fact she's having another baby when she couldn't even help raise the children she has. Do not feel bad or guilty for not wanting to take on the burden of someone else, even if that burden is your mother. Your mom couldn't spend the effort to care for you or your brother. You are not her parent, nor are you the parent of her children. She has expected way too much of you so far, and she can't just go around popping out kids and expecting you to raise them. You need to take control of your life. Your brother is not your responsibility, and your mother needs to start taking care of him or finding someone who can, so that you can recover from having to be the parent in your family since you were a child. It's not fair to you that you now do not even want a child of your own because of what she is doing to you. My husband, 34, and I are both immigrant nurses here in United Kingdom. Before we got married 5 years ago, we decided to have a joint account to easily manage our finances. We both send money to our respective parents, and we made sure to send them the same amount every month. This stopped, well at least for my parents, when 3 years ago I had to stop working as I gave birth to triplets. They were born premature, so I made the decision to quit my job and focus caring for them. My parents were very understanding when I told them I can't send money anymore as we are now a single income family. But I didn't tell them my husband still sends funds to his parents. This year I started my own channel. I am very busy with my toddlers, but I still get bored from time to time, so I decided to organize. I got so into organizing and decided to take videos and post to a mom's only Facebook page. I got good comments and they suggested I post more. Like folding the laundry, organizing the fridge, etc. I also included Pinoy recipes, indoor plant dos and don'ts, potty training strategies, the list goes on. My channel started to grow and now I have 20k monthly views. Not very big, but I am happy I was finally able to contribute to our finances. Last week I told my husband that I want to start sending money to my parents again because their small business is not doing very well thanks to COVID. He said that, although I am earning again, it is better to save the extra money that we have for our children. I agreed with him and suggested maybe we can adjust the amount he is sending his parents so that we can help both our parents. He said no and started to change the subject. Before we slept last night I told him I am upset that he doesn't want to help my parents and I am thinking of opening a separate account. He got angry and told me I am being unreasonable. I am not talking to him now, and he left for work this morning without kissing me. Am I the idiot? I think I am, but I'm not sure. Not the idiot. He is unilaterally deciding what you can do with the money you earn. For whatever reason, he thinks it is fine for him to continue to support his parents, but he refuses to allow you the same consideration. No. That is not okay for him to do. If he will not listen to you or come to any kind of compromise, you may want to look into marriage counseling. I can't even begin to count the number of divorces that have occurred due to financial arguments between spouses. And open the separate account. If for no other reason than to ensure you always have access to your own money whenever you need it. Marriage should be an equal partnership and he is not doing that. Both sets of parents should be helped equally. Yes, you definitely need your own bank account because he has shown you he doesn't respect you. He has also shown you that he will emotionally manipulate you by depriving you of affection in order to bully you into obedience. That is not healthy. Please get counseling as soon as possible, but also get that separate bank account in case his behavior escalates or he decides to leave you and take custody of your precious babies. You have every right to want to help your parents. Perhaps suggest he take on a second job to be able to support his parents, as now you will both be contributing to the savings account for the triplets. See how quickly he changes his tune then. I think his parents should take a pay cut so you can help both sets of parents. If he doesn't see your parents as equally worthy of assistance, your marriage has larger problems. Insist you two hash this out. I, 55, have a sister, 60. She was perfectly healthy until last year after a stroke her legs completely stopped working. For background reference, my sister and I never got along. When I entered university in my early 20s, she went behind my back and stole my savings, and my parents defended her and backed her up, saying she was in need of them because she had kids. When my young daughter came out premature, she would mock me for not being able to have healthy kids. Those are just few examples. Flash forward few years back, when her oldest son got married, his new wife got diagnosed with breast cancer. My sister claimed her daughter-in-law was lying about it, and she proceeded to make that girl's life a living hell by always trying to cause conflict between the couple and being entitled overseeing their kid when they had sued her for child neglect one time while the kid was in her care and almost drowned because she was busy smoking. As you can see, her oldest son isn't getting along with her either, and neither is her daughter-in-law. Her younger son is out of the country and doesn't have much contact with anyone. Last year after her stroke, her legs stopped working and she required special care. For some time his son had hired a nurse to care for her, but a couple of months ago the nurse quit due to the fact she was verbally abused by my sister. After that her son Aka, my nephew, tries to tell me that I should care for her since they don't want that responsibility with his wife after all his mom has done to them. I said I understand they don't want that responsibility, but it's not my responsibility either, and I've endured my part of verbal and emotional abuse by my sister. When I refused to help them out, both my nephew and his wife called me the idiot because I am being insensitive towards the fact that the wife has cancer and the fact they can't see her after what she did to their kid. I wish I could help, but I don't feel like it's right for that burden to fall on me, considering I've suffered because of her too in a way. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You have absolutely no obligation whatsoever to take care of your sister. The nephew is trying to use guilt to manipulate you. By giving reasons or discussing it, you open the door to the idea that you can be convinced that your position is negotiable or that your reasons are wrong, so should be debated. Simply say no and stop discussing it with them. If they persist with trying to use guilt, simply tell them that they cannot shift their own guilt onto you to make themselves feel better about abandoning his own mother. Not the idiot. You're absolutely right. The fact that your sister has alienated her kids to the point that they're not willing to care for her and everyone else around her to the point that no one else wants to help doesn't make you obligated to do it instead. They can decide whether they're okay with washing their hands of the situation and letting her work through the system and figure it out herself, but it's not okay to try to dump the responsibility on you to avoid having to make that decision. She's not your responsibility. She's also not really your nephew's responsibility. It sounds like she led a horrible and mean-spirited life, and now that she's at the end of it, the chickens are coming to roost. If you want to be kind to nephew, I would let him know that you won't fault him for letting your sister become a ward of the state or something similar. She can become the government's responsibility since she wasn't kind enough to anyone and now has nobody to care for her. I have a 9-year-old son. He has a 9-year-old stepsister from his dad. Ex and I broke up after he displayed a lot of financial irresponsibility that almost cost us our home at the time. He ended up quitting his job to dodge child support initially and then only started working again once he met his now wife. Neither of them seems to be the most financially intelligent. They have 3 kids in their home all the time, and then they have my son every other weekend. In the 2019 and 2020 school year until COVID shut the schools down, the teacher was using the supplies I bought for my son as supplies for both him and his stepsister because she assumed since they were some kind of siblings sharing would be okay. But that gave X and his wife an excuse not to buy any, and they left it to me to support both kids. Last school year they weren't in class at all. But they are back this year. And I made it clear that I was not supporting his stepsister this year with supplies. I emailed the teacher explaining what had happened the other year and told her stepsister is not my child nor part of my household and I was not sending supplies for both. She took that and implemented it, and 2 weeks ago at the start of the semester, she kept his supplies for him and didn't use any for her. X and his wife had been relying on it happening again, and when they learned she had nothing they called me an idiot and told me I was punishing a kid for my dislike of them. I told them their child was not my responsibility and I refused to fully fund the educational supplies for 2 children when only one is my responsibility and I am not getting help from him with it. There is tension and my ex's wife brought it up to my son when he was there last weekend. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The stepsister isn't your kid, so not your problem. Have a talk with your son and make sure they aren't making him share things you got for just him without his say so. And see how he feels about it. He may not care. As a child in a blended family, I didn't mind sharing some toys but not things bought solely for me. When things that were bought solely for me were shared, I stopped bringing them around after telling my other parent. A child who is not yours is not your responsibility in providing school supplies. The question becomes, have you made things hard on your son though, and whether that's worth the price of some school supplies. His stepmother should not be bringing it up, but that's beside the point in terms of what your son has to put up with. The teacher made a fairly innocent assumption, maybe handling this through your ex would have been better. The teacher likely has enough on their plate. Regardless, not the idiot. The stepmother confronted your 9-year-old about you not wanting to support his stepsister. That is way out of line. This is an adult issue, and she should not be dragging your son into it. It is not your responsibility to fund the stepdaughter's education. Teachers usually get donations from other parents to share with the kids whose parents can't afford it or who can't be bothered. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. I feel bad for the stepsister because it isn't her fault that her parents are irresponsible and use people. But it is also not your fault. I'm guessing you aren't a millionaire and having to support an extra kid would impact your life. If so, you don't want to set the precedent that you are contributing to this kid's finances because then they will always expect it. She has a mother and stepfather and presumably a biological father, unless he is deceased, that can all help contribute. If they keep calling you names I would flat out say. This has nothing to do with like or dislike for anyone. I am one person with one child and I don't have the money to support another kid. So I'm 22, a server and bartender, and my boyfriend, 21, decided to stop in with his friend for dinner tonight. We were super busy so I was happy to see him and have a relaxed moment here and there at his table. I grabbed him and his friend some freebies, 3 out of 5 free drinks and a free dessert on me, and they hung out for like over 3 hours. When I dropped the tab it was around $49 something, and when going through my slips, I noticed that my boyfriend had paid and only rounded up to $50, less than $1 tip. I was worried I lost some cash out of the checkbook, so I had asked him about it later, and he told me that no, he just tipped that amount. I was pretty shocked and asked why. He said it's because he spent a considerable amount on dinner over the weekend and that I make a lot more than he does at his job. I tried explaining to him that I could have just taken a table that wasn't him and made better money. I also gave him free items, so I feel like he could have hooked me up with a standard 20% at least, but he's standing his ground that because I'm his girlfriend, it shouldn't matter and I have no right to be upset with him. He says since he pays for things and came in as a super nice customer, I should take that as the tip. He doesn't usually ever tip poorly, like 20-30%, because he understands how being a server can be, since he's with me. He really thinks I'm overreacting and should drop it, but I'm bothered by this still. I can't tell if I'm irrational about this, but I feel like he should have given me more than less than $1, right? Your man left you a $1 tip when you saved him at least $20 on his bill. Like honestly anything less than half of what you got him for free is a crap tip. He's taking advantage of you. At basic human decency, he owes you a tip based on the full amount of stuff he got. At minimum he owed you $14, 20% of the $70 bill. I do that for strangers when I have a coupon for dinner. If it was just drinks then the equation might change a bit. I've had bartender friends at bars where it's just drinks. We'd hand them at minimum $2 a drink if they comped or discounted drinks. I'd never take his table again. He took away a paying table, heck probably two, since he was there for 3 hours and then was rude about it when you called him out. You weren't at home, you were at work, and he should have treated the occasion as such. When my best friend was a server I'd go in and sit in her section and then leave a big tip because hell she deserved it. I cared about her and it was fun to know she'd have to take my money. It's weird to me that your boyfriend used you without even asking if that was okay and then doubled down on it when you said it upset you. Not to mention rounding up to $50 was insulting. You're definitely not being irrationally upset. I think it would be a good idea to set the precedent that if he comes into the restaurant again you aren't going to take his table anymore unless he agrees to tip minimum 20%. He really let you pay out of pocket, tip share, for him and his friends to get extra free crap and service. You're 100% right that those 3 hours could have been spent making money. Better tell him not to ever come in and expect that again. If he's keeping a tally of dinner and date expenses, start insisting on paying only for you from now on. He had no problem disrupting your wages and thinks himself justified. Well okay then, now you know where he stands. Don't let him put a dime towards any dinner for you after this. You know he'll hold it against you later.